Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. Welcome to Mathematics with Shahab Yaqub. So we are starting with this thing that is coordinate geometry. This is the second lecture. Now let's first go through what we have done in the previous lecture. So let me go all the way up. And this was the concept, this was the syllabus outline. We were talking about coordinates. We were talking about drawing linear graphs. This we have done also in graphical solution of equation, which we have studied under algebra, gradient concept, length and midpoint, equation of linear graphs. And then we are talking about parallel lines. We are talking about perpendicular lines. And in perpendicular lines, we'll also be talking about the concept of perpendicular bisector. So now this chapter of coordinate geometry, this is a very, very useful chapter, a chapter that goes all the way to A-level maths. So AS level maths, when you study P1, A2 level maths, when you study P3, O-level maths, I mean, it's everywhere. Coordinate geometry in O-level maths is related to inequalities and graphs. It's related to graphs in practical situation, which we have to study further. Inequality, we have to study further. In algebra, we have studied till lecture number 21, and then we jump to coordinate geometry. Why? Because we'll be needing all these things: kinematics, speed time graph, distance time graph, travels graphs, and all this remaining part of algebra is associated with coordinate geometry. Last time, we talked about the Cartesian plane, the x-axis and the y-axis. This is called the Cartesian plane. I have labeled few points here and there. And this is x is positive, y is positive. This is x is negative, y is positive. This is x is negative, y is negative. That's the third quadrant. And x is positive, y is negative. That's the fourth quadrant. Then we talked about equation of the form y is equals to a constant, a horizontal line, a line parallel to x-axis. It's of the form y is equals to a constant because all along the line, the y coordinate does not change. As simple as this. Naturally, if you have to delve deeper into this particular topic, go ahead and watch the video. Similarly, if the line is of the form x is equals to a, it's a vertical line and line is parallel to y-axis. So line is parallel to y-axis. All along the line, the x coordinate does not change. And then some simple equations and graphs that we did. Then we talked about the concept of gradient, slope, also known as inclination. That is change in y over change in x, which is y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. This is the change in y. This is the change in x. It's also referred to as rise over run. If a graph is going like this, the green line, that's a positive slope. You are going to the right, you are moving up. If the line is like this, the purple line, that's a negative slope because when you move to the right, instead of going up, you are going down. That's a negative slope. A flat line has a zero slope. A perpendicular line, a vertical line has an undefined slope. Now, we talked about this. We took 2 points. We found the gradient 0 divided by any number is 0. But any number divided by 0 is undefined. This is the logic that I've explained. This logic will also be used in P3 in A-level maths, just giving you a sneak preview in the future. And then we talked about calculating gradients of line like this. We calculated the gradient, and so on. Another worked example like this, the same idea. Some examples. We said that by looking at the line, x is positive, x increases, y decreases, that's a negative slope. So this and this and this and this, that's negative slope. All the green lines that have a positive slope. And some basic idea over here, and that was end of lecture number 1. So now we are starting lecture number 2 after the brief overview. Now, first of all, we are talking about equation of a line. So we are talking about equation of a line, and this is a straight line. So equation of a line is of the form y is equals to mx plus c. For example, y is equals to 3x plus 5. If I compare coefficient with this, what do I get? Mx is equals to 3x, therefore m is 3. This plus c constant is 5. And we say M is the gradient of the line, the slope. And C tells you the y-intercept, the point where the line crosses the y-axis. Now, let me draw a line for you. Let me draw the y-axis, the x-axis. Let me make it thinner. And let me mark a point over here. And let me mark a point over here. Something like this. And let me draw a line passing through these 2 points. And naturally, the line can also go backwards. So let me just draw a line all the way like this. That's a good line. So now this is the point. That's the origin. This is the point. This is 2. This is 4. This is y-axis. This is x-axis. It's passing through the origin. It's passing through A. Coordinates of A is 2, 4. Now, if I'm interested in finding equation of a line, this is O, 0, 0. This is A, 2, 4. Gradient formula, you're already aware of that. That is 0 minus 4 over 0 minus 2, which is negative 4 over negative 2, which comes out to be positive 2. And we know that the y-intercept, the point where the line cuts y-axis, is such that the value of the y-intercept is 0. So line cuts y-axis, it's cutting through the origin, that is 0. So we have this thing, y is equals to mx plus c. C tells you the y-intercept. The y coordinate is 0, the x coordinate is 0. Therefore, the equation y is equals to mx plus c. Y is equals to 2x plus 0. Therefore, the equation is y is equals to 2x. So just pause here for a second, go through it, acknowledge it on the WhatsApp group if it's all good, all clear. Okay, I've pinned this thing to the top, and this is lecture 2, and this is CG. Okay, so we are starting with equation of line. Please repeat once more. Okay, this is the first example. Let me repeat it. M is the gradient of the line. And C tells you the y-intercept, the point where the line crosses the y-axis. So this is the first worked example. It's passing through the origin. It's passing through A. I use the formula for gradient, change in y, which is 4 units, change in x, which is 2 units. The gradient comes out to be 2. And then the y-intercept, the line cuts the y-axis at 0. The y-coordinate is 0. This is 0, 0. So when x is 0, that's the y value. You just plug in C over here, you plug in M over here, you find the equation, as simple as this. Now, let me do some more examples. So let's start with this worked example 1. And this time, this is not in graphical form. This is in the written form. Yes, C is the y-intercept. It says so. Now, find equation of the line passing through 0, 2 and has a gradient of 5. So you will write y is equals to mx plus c. This thing over here, 5, that is your m. And this thing over here, when x is 0, this value over here, that's called the y-intercept. Why? Because when the line cuts the y-axis, a line is cutting the y-axis. When the line cuts the y-axis, we know that equation of y-axis is x is equals to 0. So line cuts y-axis, therefore x is equals to 0. So this is already 0, therefore this value is the y-intercept, this value is c, so the value of c is 2. So this is 2, this is mx, this is 5x, and that is the equation of the line. All good, all clear? Let's move on. Next example. Worked example 2. Find equation of the line passing through, now 2 points are given, passing through A 0, 1 and B 5, 11. Now I'll be finding the equation of this line. So just let me get started with a rough diagram. It's not necessary to make a diagram. It just is better. Now look at this. X increases from 0 till 5. Y increases from 1 till 11. So I have a feel, I have a mathematical feel that the slope is positive. Why? Because X increases, Y increases. That means the slope is positive. Let me label this thing as A, which is 0, 1. Let me label this thing as B, which is 5, 11. So therefore, the gradient is 11 minus 1, 5 minus 0, which is 10 over 5, which comes out to be 2. So the gradient is 2. Again, when x is 0, when x is 0, y is 1, this 1 is the y-intercept. So therefore, the equation is y is equals to mx plus c, y is equals to 2x plus 1. That is the equation of the slide. All good, all clear. Someone asked this question, is C always the y-intercept? Beta, this is sociology. This is not sociology. This is maths. Yes, whatever we decide upon, that's always fixed. That's always a constant. Now, let's move on. Let me do another example. Worked example 3. Find equation of a line passing through point Q, which is 5, 7, and R, which is 9 and 1. Now, another question like this. Now, find equation of a line. First of all, let's look at the values. From 5 till 9, x increases. But from 7 till 1, y decreases. Therefore, the feel is, and it's genuine, that the slope will come out to be negative. Of course, you can always double check. We just have to develop that mathematical sense that y is the slope negative because x increases, y decreases. Just write it down. So let me write it in steps. Step number 1. That is, this is Q, 5, 7. This is R, 9, 1. The gradient, let me write 9 properly. So this is 9, 1. The gradient 7 minus 1, 5 minus 9. 7 minus 1 is 6. 5 minus 9 is negative 4. So 6 over negative 4, that is negative 3 over 2. Yes, the field was all good, all perfect. Now, step number 2, that is write it down. Step number 2, that is write down y is equals to mx plus c. Y is equals to negative 3 over 2x plus c. And now plug in any point on the line in place of x and y. So plug in any point. Let's say I plug in 5 and 7. So 7 is y. This is negative 3 over 2. X is 5. And this is c. Let me double check. Yes, that's 5, 7. So simplify 7, negative 15 over 2 plus c. 7 plus 15 over 2 is equals to c. 2 sevens are 14. 14 plus 15 over 2 is c. Therefore, c is 29 over 2. Therefore, y is equals to mx plus c. Y is equals to minus 3 over 2x plus 29 over 2. And let me simplify it further. First of all, just have a good look at what I have done. I have minimized it. I'm waiting for you to see. Okay, let's move on. So now this is the equation. This is done and dusted. That is the answer right over here. So now this is the equation. Now let's say the examiner is asking, write the equation in the form ax plus by plus d equals to 0, where a, b, and d are integers to be found. So now we have y is equals to minus 3 over 2x plus 29 over 2. Let me simplify. Y is equals to minus 3x plus 29 divided by 2. Cross multiply, 2y is equals to negative 3x plus 29. 2y plus 3x minus 29 equals to 0. But first the x is written, 3x plus 2y minus 29 equals to 0. Underneath it, write ax plus by plus d equals to 0. If they ask for the constants, you can say a is 3, b is 2, d is negative 29, and that is the answer. So that is writing the answer in a particular format. So now let me take a 5-minute break so that you can copy this down in your register. So let me send you the images. I'll pause the recording for a few minutes. So now let's continue. And we did all this thing, and there is this example. Our basic example, just going over it. Write down the gradient and coordinates of the y-intercept of y is equals to 2x plus 1. The coefficient of x is the gradient. The constant all alone is the y-intercept, provided it's of the form y is equals to mx plus c. So we will always compare it with our gold standard. That is always the thing that we compare with. The coefficient of x is m. The constant all alone is c. And similarly, now look at this one. We have to do a little bit of manipulation. So 2x plus 3y is equals to 12. 3y is equals to negative 2x plus 12. Make y the subject, that is negative 2x over 3 plus 12 over 3. So now this thing, this negative 2x over 3, the coefficient of x, that is the slope, that is the gradient, and this constant all alone, 12 over 3, which is 4, this is the y-intercept, and it is denoted by c. That means the coordinate is 0, 4. It is necessary that someone asked this question. I'll just refer to that question. Is that when x is 0, the y-coordinate is the y-intercept. It's not just any coordinate, it is the y-coordinate. Now, someone asked this question about this point. Find the equation of a line passing through 0, 1 and 5, 11. And we found the gradient. And this one is the y-intercept because x coordinate is 0. So it is necessary that x coordinate is 0 for y-intercept. It cannot be 11 because the y-intercept is not 0. Let's look at exercise 1. In exercise 1, look at the first question. It says write down the gradient and coordinates of the y-intercept for each of the following graphs. First of all, y is equals to mx plus c. This m over here, m represents the slope, the inclination, the rise over run, or popularly known as the gradient. And what about c? C is the y-intercept, the point at which line cuts y-axis. In other words, x coordinate is 0. Now it's necessary that y should be all alone and the coefficient of y should be 1 on the left hand side. The coefficient is 1 and the x term should be on the other side. The constant should be on the other side. The coefficient of x is gradient and the constant all alone is the y-intercept. Now, first of all, if I look at this y is equals to 2x minus 4, I will compare it with the gold standard. And what is the gold standard? That is y is equals to mx plus c. It's just a basic exercise. So what is m? M is 2 because the coefficient of y is 1 on the left hand side. And what is c? C is negative 4. So the y-intercept is negative 4. So I'll write c as negative 4, and as coordinates, I'll write this thing as 0, negative 4. Something like this. The equation y is equals to 4x. This is 4x plus 0. Coefficient of x is 4. Therefore, m is 4 and y-intercept is 0. In other words, line passes through the origin. What about this one? Y is equals to negative x, negative half. Right underneath it, y is equals to mx plus c. So therefore, the value of m is negative 1. That is the coefficient of x. The y-intercept is negative half. And the coordinate of the y-intercept is 0, negative half. What about this one? Y is equals to 3. Y is equals to 3 is a line parallel to x-axis. Why? Because all along the line, the y coordinate does not change. Now, this is basically y is equals to mx plus c. And let me write this thing. Y is equals to 0x plus c. Actually, 3 over here. So therefore, the y-intercept is 3 and c is 3, and we will write the coordinate as 0, 3. And what about the gradient? A line parallel to x-axis has a gradient of 0. Therefore, m is 0. So now the first question is done. Let me copy this thing and let me take it to the next page so that I can comfortably try out the next question. So let me just focus on this one. Now it says match the graphs to the correct equation from the box. Now there are 6 equations that are written over here. Let me label them. This is line 1. This is line 2, line 3. This is line 4, line 5, and this is line 6. There are 6 equations over here. Now, if I look at all these equations, so let me choose a green color for the positive gradient. The coefficient of x is positive. The coefficient of line 2 is also positive. This is positive, and the last one is positive. So there are 4 lines with positive gradient. So let me draw and label those lines with positive gradient. Now I'm not saying that B is line 1. I'm not saying that as yet because I'm just focusing on the gradient. All these 4 gradients are positive. So the first one, that's a positive gradient. That's another positive gradient. That is another positive gradient. And last but not the least, that is this thing. So these are 4 positive gradients, that is B, C, D, and E. Now let's focus on the coefficient of y. The coefficient of y is 1. That means the coefficient of x is the gradient. So over here, if I use a green marker, I'll write the gradient as 1. The gradient is 7 over 3. The gradient is positive 3. The gradient is 1/3. Actually, all these 4 gradients are positive. Now, the next thing that I should look for is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 2. The y-intercept is negative 1. The y-intercept is 0. And the y-intercept is positive 2. So there are 2 equations with positive 2 y-intercept. And there is 1 equation with negative 1. So let me figure out the negative 1. That's right over here. So that was easy to determine. In other words, D is line 2. Got the idea? D is line 2. Why? Because it has a positive gradient and the y-intercept is negative 1. That's the negative y-intercept. Now, let me look for a y-intercept of 2. There are 2 of them. This one has a positive 2. This one has a positive 2. Let me calculate the gradient of each one of them. Now this is 0, 2. Let me write it over here. And this one, let me choose this thing. That is this, which is 6, 4. So 0, 2, 6, 4. Let me calculate the gradient. Gradient is 2 minus 4 over 0 minus 6, which is negative 2 over negative 6, which is positive 1/3. Positive 1/3 and a y-intercept of 2. Positive 1/3 and a y-intercept of 2, that is line 6. So diagram C belongs to line 6. Now this also has a positive 2y intercept, that is a positive 2y intercept. So therefore this is line 1 over here. And the last line, which has a positive slope and it passes through the origin, that has to be this one, which is part B, and this is line 4, which is y is equals to 3x. So this one is y is equals to 3x. C is line 6, which is y is equals to 1/3 x plus 2. And then D is line 2, which is y is equals to 7 over 3x minus 1. And E is line 1. Line 1 is what? Y is equals to x plus 2. There is no need of even calculating the gradient. Why? Because there were two lines with a y-intercept of 2. This one has a gradient of 1/3. So that is this one. And this has a y-intercept of 2. It has a gradient 1. Even if you do the calculation, the gradient will come out to be 1. As you can see over here, you move 1 right, you move 1 up. You move 2 right, you move 2 up. You move 2 right, you move 2 up. That means the gradient is 1 because change in y over change in x is equal. Now let me use another color. Let's say I'm using a blue color for the negative gradient. So that is negative x plus 6. And the other one is negative 1/3 x plus 4. So this is the one, negative 1/3 x plus 4, and this is the other one with a y-intercept of 6. So that was pretty obvious. So let me just label it over here. So now first of all, I'm using a blue color. So let me write that the gradient is negative 1, y-intercept is 6. And this is gradient is negative 1/3, y-intercept is 4. So y-intercept 6 is line 3. Y-intercept 6 is line 3. So this is line 3. What's the equation? Y is equals to negative x plus 6. Therefore, which is the one that is remaining? Line 2 was also used. So let me label this. So line 2 was used and y-intercept of 4, that is this one. That is line 5, that's right over here. So y is equals to minus 1/3 x plus 4. Y is equals to minus 1/3 x plus 4. And this is line 5 over here. This thing is done. This is line 3 over here. That is done. So that's how this basic conceptual question is completed. Let's look at this thing. Now find the gradients and the coordinates of the y-intercept for each of the following. So now let me label some of them. Let's say, let me label part A, let me label part I, and let's say Q, and let's say W, and let's say T. So let me work on these 5 of them. So let me write each one of them. That is A, I, Q, W, T. So this is A, I, Q, and T comes first, T, W. So this is A, I, Q, T, and W. What is A? Y is equals to 4 plus 2x. First write this thing in the proper format. Y is equals to 2x plus 4. And when I talk about I, this is 3y minus 6x is equals to 15. Let me write this thing as 3y is equals to 6x plus 15. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. Therefore, this comes out to be 2x plus 5. This is equal to y. Q, y plus 2x minus 3 is equals to 0. Y plus 2x minus 3 equals to 0. Y is equals to negative 2x plus 3. And what about T? 4y minus 6x plus 8 is equals to 0. 4y minus 6x plus 8 equals to 0. 4y is equals to 6x minus 8. Y is equals to 6x over 4 minus 8 over 4. And let me push this part down. And let me also push this thing a bit down. And need a little bit more of the spacing. Okay, and I think this is all set. And the last one is W, which is half is equals to minus 4x minus 2y. So this is half is equals to minus 4x minus 2y. And let me switch the places. 2y is equals to negative 4x negative half. Let me just double check. This is half is minus 4x minus 2y. So 2y goes on the other side, becomes positive. This remains negative. This positive goes over here. Let me divide by 2. If I divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, both sides actually. So when I divide both sides by 2, so therefore, let me write the division sign first. So divide both sides by 2. So therefore, y is equals to minus 2x and minus half over 2, that is minus 1/4. Now, each one will be compared with the gold standard, which is y is equals to mx plus c. Y is equals to mx plus c. Over here also, y is equals to mx plus c. Y is equals to mx plus c, and y is equals to mx plus c. So now when I'll write it down, the value of m is 2, the value of c is 4, the coordinates of c is 0, 4. The x coordinate has to be 0 in order to find the y-intercept. Similarly, over here, gradient is 2, y-intercept is 5, coordinate of c is 0, 5. Over here, gradient is negative 2, y-intercept is 3, coordinate is 0, 3. Over here, gradient is 6 over 4, 6 over 4, that is 3 over 2. And y-intercept is negative 2, and the coordinate is 0, negative 2. Over here, gradient is negative 2, y-intercept is negative 1/4, coordinate is 0, negative 1/4. So that's how this basic question is done. Yes, it is basic, but it's very, very important because it will be going all the way to A-level math. Now, another question, just a basic one. It says find the equation of a straight line which passes through the point A, negative 3, negative 4, and B, negative 1 and 2. So there is nothing special in this one. What we do is that we take these 2 points and we find the gradient, make a habit of writing it out in a manner like this. That is, I'll write it like this. A, negative 3, negative 4. I'll write B, negative 1 and 2, and I'll draw an arrow like this. So therefore, I'll write gradient, let me make it correct, that is minus 4, minus 2, and therefore minus 3, minus 1, that is negative 6 at the top, and negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2 at the bottom, and that comes out to be a 3. 6 over 2 is not 2, that is 3. So that's the first thing, gradient comes out to be 3. Then we will write y is equals to mx plus c. You will insert the value of m. Y is equals to 3x plus c. And then either one of these 2 points, you can plug it over there. Let me plug in the first point, which is negative 3, negative 4. So this is negative 4, this is 3, this is negative 3 plus c. Negative 4 is equals to negative 9 plus c. Negative 4 plus 9 is equals to c. Therefore, c comes out to be 9 minus 4 is 5. So we have m, we have c, we have the equation y is equals to 3x plus 5. No harm in checking, and that is the answer for this particular part. So now these are the questions that you can do. This is just basic plug-in. So this is the value of m is given and the y-intercept is given. X is 0, that's the y-intercept. X is 0, that's the y-intercept. X is 0, that's the y-intercept, and so on. And this one over here, you have to plug in and then evaluate C just like I just did over here. So example 3, that is applicable to this thing, this thing, this thing, all of these, that is example 3. And example 3 is also applicable over here. First find M, then find C. So that is the basic idea for these questions. And a question something to like this. Find the equation of the line A to L as shown. Now this looks a lot of messed up thing. in the sense that everything is so close to one another. Let me just choose a line, something like, let me choose this line E. So that's a very thick line. So if I choose line E, I'll choose 2 points on the line. So let me choose this point, which is 0, 2. Let me choose this point, which is 4, 0. So this is 3, diagram 2. So diagram 2, and I'm choosing line E. There are 2 points. This is 0, 2, and this is 4, 0. Now over here, since the x coordinate is 0, this value is the y-intercept. And then I'll write y is equals to mx plus c. Y is equals to, let me calculate m first. So in order to calculate m, what should I do? I'll write 2 minus 0 over 0 minus 4, that is m. That is 2 at the top, negative 4 at the bottom, which is negative half. Just write negative half over here. And c is already known by observation. So that is the equation of the line. So that is the basic thing. And the same thing over here, find the equation of the line shown on the graph. So now the grid is drawn, and it is looking even more complex in the sense that the line has small grids over there. So there is nothing to worry. Just choose points which are easy to read. So let me choose this line, which is line B, and this whole line is drawn. And let me choose this point that's right over here. And this is minus 5, 1.5. This is 3 over 2 or 1.5. So this is minus 5, 1.5. That's 1 point. But actually, why should I choose this? The reason being, I could have easily chosen this point, which is 0, 2. But deliberately, I'm choosing this point so that I can show you once again how to evaluate C. And then the third point, the second point that's right over here, which is 5, 2.5. So this is 5 over 2. So this is 5, 5 over 2. These are the 2 points I have chosen. Let me draw a line like this. Gradient 3 over 2 minus 5 over 2 divided by minus 5 minus 5. So therefore 3 over 2 minus 5 over 2, that's 2 over 2, which is 1. And what is at the bottom? Minus 5 minus 5. So this is a difference of 10 units. So this is positive 5 right over here. That was a small mistake I was just about to make. This is positive 5. So therefore this is negative 1 at the top, negative 10 at the bottom. So therefore that is positive 1 over 10. And then I'll write y is equals to mx plus c. Y is equals to 1 over 10x plus c. Let me choose this point. When x is 5, y is 5 over 2. So y is 5 over 2. This is 1 over 10. X is 5 plus c. So therefore, let me do the cancellation. 5 1s are, 5 2s are. So this is 5 over 2 is equals to 1 over 2 plus c. 5 over 2 minus 1 over 2 is equals to c. 4 over 2 is equals to c. C comes out to be 2, which is exactly right over here, as you can see. So that was very obvious. I deliberately missed it out so that if some person is doing the calculation, they can still get the same answer with a little bit of extra work. So now what do I have? I have the gradient, which is 1 over 10. I have the y-intercept, which is 2. Therefore, y is equals to mx plus c. Y is equals to 1 over 10x plus 2. That is the equation of this line. So that finishes lecture number 2 of coordinate geometry, in which we focused on equation of line, and there are many more other concepts that we need to study. Till the very next class, take care.